What you want. So communication is the central thing. Communication is the centerpiece of your ability to lead, your ability to manage, your ability to execute your job properly, regardless if you have a role in front of people or not, regardless if you have a role managing people, even if you're just a workman on the line, or you're just someone who sits at a desk and deals with paperwork all day. You still have to have the ability to communicate yourself, because there are going to be those times that you have to explain what's going on. And you might think that that's elementary, but you would be surprised at how many people are just socially awkward. And it's very difficult for them to communicate themselves in a way that is effective and that is clear. And by socially awkward, I don't mean awkward situations or awkward social situations. I think everybody's had those, right? Where somebody says, oh, awkward. So there's a big difference between an awkward situation and being awkward in a situation. So what we want to avoid is being awkward. What we want to avoid is that fear and panic that we don't know what to say, or we don't know how to say it, or we don't want to say something in such a way that is going to upset or alienate other people. So business communication is pretty simple. It's really just the sending and receiving of verbal and nonverbal messages. Mark McCormick, who wrote the book What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School, said that people's written communications are probably the most revealing than any other single item in the workplace. So whether you're writing, whether you're speaking, whether you're sending an email, these are all very, very important key aspects of communication. We have to do it effectively. We absolutely have to do it effectively. So let's talk a little bit about communication. What is communication? What comprises communication? Is it just speaking? Is it just writing? Well, okay, well, beyond that. Beyond that, what is communication? Well, let's take a look at that. The 5 components of communication. The first one is stimulus. Stimulus. A stimulus, basically, it creates a need to communicate. It is literally the genesis of communication. There has to be a stimulus. There has to be a cause. There has to be something that drives your need to communicate yourself. And that could be anything. Literally, it could be anything. You could be driving in your car and a bird could fly over your car, and you might think about something, and that would create a stimulus in your mind to mention something to the person next to you about that bird. You could walk outside and it could just be a sunny day, and that might stimulate in your mind something that you'd like to say to somebody else. You could be sitting in a business meeting and another fellow executive or a fellow manager says something that stimulates something in your mind that you've got to make a response to. So it's a very simple thing. The first component of communication is stimulus. There has to be a reason. So the second one is filter. The first one is stimulus. The second one is filter. Now, a filter is our knowledge, our experience, and our viewpoints that act together to help us to decode and to interpret stimulus. So basically, what a filter is your perception. It's your reality. You know, when I train people and I coach folks, one of the first key things I look at is their filter. How are you looking at situations? You have a negative filter? Are you overly pessimistic? Do you live off in la-la land over on the overly optimistic side? Are you a realist, pretty in the middle? You don't really see things negative, don't really see things positive. You just kind of see things as it is. You trudge through it. What is your filter? What is your filter? If you have a bad experience with ABC widget company, then your filter about that company is bad. And so if anybody says anything about that company, even something good about the company, immediately you're going to interpret that information in a negative light. In a negative light. So the first one, stimulus. Second one, filter. Third one, message. So we formulate a verbal or nonverbal response to the stimulus based upon how we interpreted this information through the optics of our filter. So in our example here of ABC Widget Company, and somebody says something positive and we have a negative view, negative filter of the company, my response there is probably going to be negative. I might say, well, you know what, I don't know about all that, but I know that my experience was bad. The food was bad, or the service was terrible. I wouldn't use that company. That's my filter, based on my experiences. And it isn't just experience that helps to formulate our filter. It's our associations. It's our cultures. It is our socioeconomic position or status in this life. It is our political affiliations. It is our political ideologies. It is our business affiliations. It is also our business ideologies. There are all of these things comprised together to make your filter. And really, your filter is who you are. Okay? So that's very, very important. That's one of the most important components of communication to really understand. The next one, medium. So we have stimulus, which is the genesis of communication. We have our filter, which is how we decode the stimulus. Then we have the message, which is how we communicate based on our filter. Then we have the medium, and that's the particular vehicle or method we use. What you want,